We're live. Woo! Exciting.
It's my first time ever.
Going live. And Facebook.
Definitely the first time going live on both.
All right, let's see if we got anybody in here. Facebook. Oh, we are. Yay. All right, let's see if we got anybody. I'm gonna turn this down.
Well, we got it, yeah.
Do you want to introduce us, Tiana?
Well, let's see if we can get some people on here first before
All right.
we get started.
I like our social distancing.
I know.
Yes.
I feel like I do need to. It's a long way.
Yeah, when you talk, just like that.
No coughing, everyone.
Yes. No sneezing. No breathing.
Yeah.
No breathing.
And I did Clorox and Lysol this room. I've done it multiple times. So, okay, well, yeah, I can't. Here we go. Let's go ahead and see who's on. Kelly Graham. What's up, Kelly Graham?
Kelly.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Karen Hahn. So exciting. Thanks for joining us, guys.
I have a question. If anyone's watching on YouTube, are they seeing that backwards?
No.
Church about thing?
No.
Oh. On our screen, it's backwards.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and Emily Mitchell Sloan's on. Sloan, we miss you. Love you. Okay, guys, we're gonna get started. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Tell us who you are, what your position on staff is, and how many kids you have, their ages are. I think that will really make a difference later, depending on kind of the questions we get and stuff like that. So, if you want to start, Eddie?
I'm introducing you.
No, you're introducing yourself.
Sienna was born in.
No.
My name is Eddie, and the pastor here at WEC. And what else? I have two kids, both 2 and under, except my son's birthday is Saturday. He's gonna be 3. Hallelujah. Done with terrible 2s. They weren't that bad. They're just horrible. And other names?
Yeah.
Yep. My son's name is Edwin. He's almost 3. And my daughter is Ansley. And she is 1. And they are both, thank God, the sitter is still open. And they are there right now. So.
Really? Yeah. I'm sure that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Work seems like a break compared to last weekend, to the weekend. I mean, on some levels.
Okay, Tab.
Tab Hodges. I'm Stu's wife. And I'm also the groups director at Water's Edge. We have 3 lovely homes. We have Emma, who is a junior in high school, and she is hanging out at home also. And we have Taylor, who's a freshman in high school, and she's 14. And
Also,
For Newport News, and I have 3 kids too. My oldest, Skylar, is 7, and then I have a son, Striker, who's 4, and then my littlest daughter, the tiny tot, is 3.
And they're all so gear programming here. And I have 2 lovely, very energetic, extroverted children. My son, Jackson, is 9. Funny story, actually. He just turned 9 a couple weeks ago. And like all week long, he's been saying, I don't want to do chores. I don't want to do this. And I keep saying, you're 8. Like Harlow is 4. So we don't have a ton of structure for this live event because we really wanted to hear from you guys. We wanted to answer your questions. So if you can, hop on to the comments and ask away. Anything you want us to share about parenting, anything you want us to share about working and homeschooling, kind of what that looks like, we're here to answer your questions. Or if you just have a silly random question for any of us, we'll answer those too. So I'm paying attention to the comments, so make sure you guys post those there. And you guys kind of already talked about this, but what with the new guidelines of school's closed to the end of the year, and everybody's trying to social distance and quarantine as much as possible, what has changed in your schedule? So if you guys want to start by answering that. For parents.
4 to 5 nights of the week where I'm home now with the kids, as opposed to them being at a babysitter a little bit longer, or are we missing out on dinner time or whatever the case is. And so that's been exciting, and I think it's been really good for them. We're also in the middle of moving, and so that's exciting. I hate it. But so that's been quite a bit different. I've been home with them quite a bit more, and that's been really fun, good for them, and good for me and my wife as well.
It's really good. Tab, how about you?
Yeah, so I don't know about you, parents of other teenagers, but we kind of treated the first 2 weeks a little bit like vacation.
Yes.
Now I feel like we're kind of like, okay, we probably should have some structure in our life. You know, this is gonna be like this for we don't know how long, and so we're kind of gearing up for that. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to do. I'm trying to wrap my head around, okay, what does this now really look like? I told my son Braden yesterday that I was going to be doing this, and he's like, well, you don't really parent anymore, or something like that. Like, not like, he didn't say it like in a bad way, but like, we're older. You don't need to like change our diapers and things like that. And so it is different for parents of teenagers than parents probably, and you're probably exhausted by the end of the day. Whereas my kids are, you know, I tell them what to do and they do it, or, you know, that kind of, hopefully they do it. And so, but, you know, our structure looks a little bit different than most parents. So I think parents of teenagers are experiencing a very different life than parents of little kids. And so my life looks a lot different than you guys, because y'all have little kids. Your hands are in things a lot more. Mine's just trying to keep the house straight right now. So
That's
yeah. So.
And you got an extra meal to do.
Oh yes, Lord, they just want to keep eating.
They do,
why,
yes.
why do they want to eat three
Yes.
times a day?
I don't understand why. Why can't you just
I
do
know,
a couple of
I
meals
know.
without eating?
Just two quick stories. I made, you know, cupcakes, which like a normal box cake of cupcakes is 24 cupcakes, and they were gone in a day and a half. And I couldn't quite understand. And then yesterday I came home and I said, I wanted a popsicle. I just wanted a popsicle. I said, where are all the popsicles? I'm asking Harla, and she said, well, Jackson had 2 and I had the rest. So I was like, Harla, that is 6 popsicles. She ate 6 popsicles in one day. And like, here's the thing. I know that they don't eat that much when they're at school. So like, I don't know if it's just like a boredom factor. And like the other piece to it too is they are sneaking the snacks, but like I can see them sneaking, but they think they're getting away with it. So it's like kind of funny to just like let it be. But
Yes.
yeah, they're eating nonstop. It's crazy.
Yes.
In our new house, we actually have a pantry now. He really likes granola bars or trail mix, and so that's generally what he's going for. But he's locked himself in and can't get out. It's not locked. He just can't figure out how to get out.
It's so cute.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. My schedule is looking different as far as I wasn't getting as tired going to work and then coming home, but being home is very tiring. Like you said, it's keeping the house clean. It's trying to figure out when I can do schoolwork with my first grader while keeping the 2 preschoolers quiet so that she can hear, and keeping them entertained and not jumping off the couch and breaking things or jumping off the bed. I think I'm more mentally and physically tired as I run around and step on Legos, and then we fall, and then they fall because they're stepping on a Barbie doll. I'm learning that this new season is just going to be a little more tired.
I think there's kind of like both sides of the spectrum. There's, you know, when this first started, there was circulating on Facebook like a color coordinated schedule for the entire day, an hour of, you know, academics, and then an hour of outside, and then an hour of chores, and then, you know, and then you've got the other end of the spectrum where people are like, I can't keep a schedule, my kids don't do well on a schedule, or that we're just crazy and it's hard to even enforce a schedule. So specifically right now what I'm getting questions from is people with teenagers. So are you, first of all, teenagers like to sleep in.
Yeah.
So are you making them wake up at a certain time? Are you holding them accountable to a schedule? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I probably am not the person to interview during this question, because we really, I mean, like I said, we really have treated the past 2 weeks like a vacation. They've kind of done what they wanted to do, and so I think, you know, Stu and I have really been talking about we gotta rein this in. I feel like most probably parents of teenagers are like, all right, we gotta get some structure here, kind of that kind of thing. One of the things that I just very small practical thing is that though the kids may be staying up later, we aren't letting them on their phones, for instance, like past 12. Nothing good happens after 12 anyways,
Yeah.
right? So that's just one like simple little thing that we've done as far as structure. We're like, no, plug your phone up. Like we have all the kids plug their phones up in a public place. And so that's one of the things we've tried to keep up, that though they are staying up later past the time that we go to bed, that's one small thing that we've done. But yeah, there's certainly things that I think we probably will do, you know, like in my head circulating has been like having the kids do a big chore and a little chore. So so it's not like a lot, but I'm going to give you a choice between a big chore and a little chore to do every day. So a big chore would be like, hey, let's clean the whole bathroom today. And a little chore would be take out the trash in the kitchen, kind of a thing. So you get to pick kind of what you want to do, but let's do a big chore and a little chore so that we can be productive.
Yeah.
But I think even for teenagers though, they need some sort of physical activity. So I know you can't like necessarily go out, but like you used to, maybe to the gym or something like that. But even just letting them like do something in the backyard, just like do something physically, just to get them going, instead of literally sitting and watching TikToks all day.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll suck you in though.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
fun
it
for
totally
you.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think my favorite part that you said, you know, at the beginning, you guys were treating it like a vacation. We're all figuring this out. And just because we did something last week doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for next week. You know, we tried it the first week. What we're doing is I'm actually working from home 3 days a week, and my husband's working from home all of the days of the week. But on those days that I'm home, he's not getting interrupted by the kids. And so we thought that would be like, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll just work downstairs with the kids. Well, it's still not working because, you know, we get a lot of phone calls and Zoom meetings and stuff like that. So it's hard to do when the kids are, you know, pulling at your pant leg or asking for food or whatever it may be. So something that we did this week that we didn't do last week was we actually did schooling on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Because it's harder to do it during the week when we're working, and it's easier to do it during the weekend when we're home and we can give them undivided attention. So I just love that you got to figure it out. And if it means you try something one week and it doesn't work, you try something else the next week. I mean, we're going to be in this for a little bit, and we just got to keep trying to figure out what works for you individually and as a family and for your kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How are you guys handling scheduling changes, and are you structured?
Yes.
Whatever, she's got books. Yeah, she's structured.
But I think that my ADHD requires it, because if I don't have something written out in front of me, I will be all over the place. I will create the tornado in the house. But the first 2 days went great. I was so shocked. I was like, thank you, God. This is fantastic. And then the third day was a mess. But there's grace, so much grace given.
Yeah.
That I started to not tap into that grace, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. I'm already failing. But if I just get my mind right, it's like, okay, grace is here for all of us. Just because it didn't work today, that's fine. We'll try it again tomorrow in a different way.
That's so good. Yeah, that's really good. I really love this question because it's so raw. You know, we love our kids, but we're used to having time away from our kids, and we're not getting that anymore, especially for little ones. So, Addie, I'm going to ask you, are you doing anything? What are you doing in those moments where you feel like you're about to lose control? What does that look like for you? Are you doing anything for you personally to make sure you're like filled up? Are you stepping away? Like, what does that look like?
In our new house, my brother's also moved in with us. It's only a couple months, temporary kind of deal. And so just most recently last night, I told him, hey, Molly and I put the kids down at 7 p.m., which thank God 7 p.m. has been bedtime for all of Edwin's life, and it's working out great. And so from 7 to whenever is me time. It's mommy, daddy time. It's whatever, you know. And so I'm very, very no matter where we're at, we're moving houses. We're at my parents' house. We're home. 7 p.m. bedtime is really, we stick to it. Whatever the bedtime is, sticking to it is great because it's something I can look forward to. Then, and last night, like I was saying, I told my brother at 7 p.m. those kids are going down, and you and I are going to jump in the boat and we're going to go fishing for an hour before it gets super dark. And then I was late to a meeting, and I just said that on YouTube. Sorry, man. Busted. But yeah, being very on time as well. Usually my kids nap for 2.5, 3 hours. It's been more like 45 minutes to an hour this last week or so. But being intentional with that has been great as well. And then in the moment, I mean, it's so hard to do. But I clench my fists and walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, they get so frustrated. The number of times that my son, he's been fully potty trained for a year and a half, or about a year. And the number of times that he has wet his pants in the past 3 days has driven me up a wall.
Yeah.
Like, child, just go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But we're at this really cool house and we're surrounded by water and he wants to play and it's distracting. It's distracting for me too, you know? And so I have to remember change brings this about, especially with little kids when there's so much change.
Yeah.
My wife keeps telling me this, thank God for her. She keeps telling me that regression is normal.
Yes.
Like when there's such a huge change, my son wetting himself almost every time he has to go to the bathroom is very normal.
Yep.
And so helping me realize and remember that is really helpful. And so when the schedule is totally messed up from not going to the babysitter, like a lot of you have had babysitters or the daycare cancel or school or whatever, when that big of a schedule change happens, regression, whether that's your kid wetting his pants every hour and a half, or it's your kid losing his mind and never obeying anything you're saying for the next week or whatever, is gonna happen. And so like Kendall was saying, giving yourself and them a little bit more grace in that time, I think is good.
Yeah, it's really good. I think as adults, we are able to take the emotions and verbally process like what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, and they don't know how to do that. Just like, you know, babies cry when they're hungry because they can't say I'm hungry. It's the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I think when I have, like at school, he's got a place where he goes. And so I was actually talking to Phil Boteet, where his son Ezra, they're kind of going through the same thing. So what they're trying to do is create a space that doesn't feel like home. It feels like school. So like you can go and just like, this is kind of where you go to do your schoolwork. But I think that's so good. Like, first of all, Jackson regressed when it came to potty training as well. And we weren't going through anything like this. So definitely show yourself some grace. Yeah, that's normal. That's normal.
Yeah, and I would just add, because we actually homeschooled Taylor when she was in 4th grade. And so we definitely gave her a designated spot. I think that really is key. We gave her a spot, and we actually had this cart that we would pull in, that whole structure, and she knew everything was very predictable. As far as the timing of everything, we were very consistent every time. So even if you do it on the weekend, if that's a consistent time, you know, from this time to this time, this is happening, then they know that. Kids really need structure.
Yeah.
And that's why kids do great in school most of the time, because everything is very predictable. I can remember when my kids were little, they would ask me 100 times, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? What's next? What's next? But that's because, and I can remember that Braden's kindergarten teacher in particular, she would say, he always asks, like, what's next? He needs to know what's next. And it's because in the structure of school, everything's very predictable.
Right.
And so, you know, it's great because that's what school has given them, but we also have to kind of follow up with that.
Yeah.
It's hard. That's the exhausting part, right? Is having that consistency and stuff. But kids need that structure. And I think kind of showing them, I love that, giving them a place or pulling in a cart. This is the school cart, everyone. Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Could be helpful.
That's really good. It is. I mean, I think about like if I, as an adult, if I didn't know what the next thing I had to do would be, like it would drive me crazy.
Yes.
So like I can't imagine what it feels like to live not knowing what your day looks like. So yeah, that would definitely be hard. This is a good question. So someone had asked, Oh, Stephanie had commented, but I would love to hear. So she said for teens in particular that she has to be intentional about bringing everyone together and connecting with them individually. But I think that is across the board for all kids.
Yeah.
So what are some sort of intentional or fun things that you guys have done over the last couple of weeks to make sure that you're spending family time?
I think she's asking you.
I have done painting on the window.
Oh yes, I saw it. It looks so good.
It was really fun and they really enjoyed it. I think that I got that idea from talking to other moms, from talking to Stephanie Willis, if that's who it was. Having someone in my circle, in my WEC circle, in my church circle that I knew I could trust and say, hey, I am struggling. What should I do? And she said, 45 minutes with schoolwork and then make sure you have 10 minutes with yourself. But that's also good for them to know. I need my own time too. They need their own time. But taking that time, that 10 or 15 minutes that you allot to like fully invest in them. And
Yeah,
I think that helps during the workday to
that's really good. Yeah.
show them that they are still there. They have that structure. They know when it is. But yeah, painting on the window was a lot of fun.
That's so fun.
And it's it's not okay to do that normally, but now it is, and you mix it with soap and it's fine.
Yeah,
It
comes right
comes
out.
right off.
When my kids were little, in the summer, I would have them the whole time, because I was a stay-at-home mom and hanging out with them all day. And one of the things that we did to add structure to our day was I put together like a little booklet, and it had like a list. So every day was like a different day. So one day was like a craft day. The next day was, which we can't do, but like it was like a museum day. You can't do that anymore. But basically, I kind of created a thing every day, and they got to pick. And so I think
That's
for them
cool.
that was helpful because they got to be a part of the process of, hey, we're gonna do this craft today. I want it was whatever,
Yeah.
and we kind of structured it like that. Then they got to pick, like
Yeah.
out of this list, out of 40 things, what do you want to do today?
Yeah.
So for them, that was super helpful to kind of give us structure in our day.
Yeah.
So
I know, Tab, for your family, you guys are fairly structured in general,
Yeah.
especially with trying to honor the Sabbath.
Yeah.
I know it's hard right now because we're, trying to figure this out and trying to figure out how to do church differently. But what are some things that you guys have done together as a family over the last couple of weeks?
yeah. So we're pretty good about eating together as a family in general. If our kids are home, whoever is home, we're eating together.
Yeah.
We never go to our different spaces to eat. That's just not something we've ever done. But it's been really cool to have all my babies home, which
Yeah.
I like. As horrible as the situation is, it has been really precious to have for me as a mom to have all my babies home, and we're literally sitting around a table talking about things together, and that's just the best. And sometimes we'll do like a little check-in, like Stu talked about our little family meeting in the service. We try to check in and that kind of thing. So that's really fun. Yesterday, Stu and Braden went out and like hung out outside, just getting fresh air, and then we all kind of me and Taylor. Well, me and Stu versus Taylor and Braden, which we lost. We played pickleball outside, and so that was super fun. Yeah, pickleball. Yeah, it's like kind of like tennis a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun little game. So we did that. So even just, I think we've been trying to do things like getting outside. We did walk the Nolan Trail on Saturday, and it was so funny. Taylor looks at Stu and she says, "Dad, we are not a walking family." Which I thought was really fun. So we're trying to do those little things. So it's not something we're doing big, and it's not for us with teenagers. It's not something super planned, but it is something that we're like, at this time, we're going to do something together as a family. So that's been fun. We've also been watching home videos from when the kids were little, which has been really fun. So
That's a good idea.
they love watching themselves, so that's super fun. So
It's fun. They used to, hopefully it's okay if I share this. So
Yeah.
they used to make home videos all the time as a family, and they would put on like newscasts. Like one person was the
so
weatherman, and
Yes.
one person was like the sports person, and
Yeah.
so that's a fun idea, something you could do this week.
Yeah, we did lots. We watched. I was like, man, we did a lot of shows, but we did like lots of news things, and they would do dance shows and all kinds of things. Yeah,
That's super fun.
My wife Molly has been really intentional about jumping on the kids Water's Edge
Mm,
page.
so good.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
so much good
Yeah.
stuff in there. Even watching, we made sure we pulled him in both services yesterday, or both morning services yesterday,
Sweet.
at the end of service to let him watch his friends, and happened to be his aunt was one of the dancers
Mhm.
on stage, and so he loved that. Even taking the other stories and the other I don't know what they're called, the bottom lines and the different things from the kids page has been really helpful for us to continue using. One of them the other day was about sharing or being obedient or something like that, and so we kind of used those bottom lines throughout the week as well.
It's really cool. So what Eddie was referencing, on Sunday, if you didn't catch the service at the end, we invited the kids team to come on the stage and do 2 of the Kid Craze dances. And so that was a lot of fun because then they got to see the leaders that they normally get to see, and they got to do the dances that they know the moves to. And so my kids and I had a lot of fun doing that. But also on our website, if you visit watersedgechurch.net/kidsonline, I think that's right. I hope that's right. Okay, good. Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
There are resources on there for you to do with your kids. So for each age group. So there's We World, Kid Craze, and 45. And it has lessons, it has activities, it has videos you can watch. So that would be a great thing for you to do on Sunday or even during the week if you're looking for a little more structure in your week. Like maybe that's what you start your day with.
Yes.
But yeah, please take advantage of that. We created it to help you, knowing that this is crazy. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, can I just share a verse that goes along with that?
Yes.
So important right now. I know that sometimes parents, we don't always feel equipped, but this is such an important time for us. Your greatest ministry is your kids.
Yes.
By far. Like there's nothing, when all of this is over, the greatest legacy that we can leave is our kids.
Yeah.
And so I just want to read this verse. It's Deuteronomy 6:6-9. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get a better time than right now to pastor your kids.
Yeah.
Like pointing them to that. Like that's just so incredible that Molly did that. But even if you've got teenagers, if you're eating dinner, share a verse. I know they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. It is weird. It's not our normal thing.
Yeah.
But use this time to pastor your kids because what we're leaving is a legacy.
Yeah.
And this is such a cool opportunity, like no other time before, because our kids aren't running and playing soccer and we're not running around. I mean, could it be that even in this difficult time for all of us, that God would allow us to be able to pastor our kids?
Yes. That's
Yes.
so good. I feel like I shared with Tab, we're going 100 miles an hour, but for some reason, I don't know if this is just God making a way for it, but like we've managed to put a home cooked meal on the table every night, which is like unheard of. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but every night, and it's been so good. Like I feel like we've actually slowed down and we're just spending time with each other and we're investing in our kids and investing in our marriage. And it's been a gift. And so like I think we just have to remember that even though this is insane, we have to receive it as a gift because God's going to provide for us no matter what. So
Yes, absolutely.
okay, we're going to close out with one more thing, real quick. One like sentence or one word of encouragement.
To me,
All of us, we're all going to give one.
I mean me first.
Yeah, you first.
I would just say that parents, you are doing better than you think you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's so good. Yeah.
All right. So in the midst of all this, if you are married, your marriage is still a priority. If you've got teenagers, you don't have a free time. They're awake longer than you are.
Yeah.
So be intentional about investing in your marriage. Make sure you're communicating with your spouse. This is the time to do it. And I know it's really hard, but maybe you sneak away and just sit on the back porch and have a moment.
Yeah,
It's so important not to neglect your marriage during this time.
that's really good.
I have to say Jesus first.
Yeah.
Jesus in everything. I have my books that I'm reading. I've got scriptures written all over my walls. If you come to my house,
That's awesome. I think mine is working is a full-time job, parenting is a full-time job, and homeschooling is a full-time job. You are not expected to do all three of those with excellence. So just show yourself some grace. So, all right, that's all we have today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm going to close it out. We'll be praying for you. If you need prayer or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or any staff member. We're here to support you. We love you guys.
Love you.
Bye. I don't know how to close it.
Bottom left. Okay, or you just close the browser.
Open.
Are you sure you want to end your stream?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
Should we end it?